Okay, this Chris Mannino guy just gets more and more interesting. Um, I've recently learned that he filed some sort of police report on Schaeffer on February the 14th of 2011, and I have not read this document, so let's read it together. Incident type, suspicious circumstances. Report officer was Zachary Sherman, Fairbanks, Alaska, Fairbanks Police Department. Supervisory EMP, Robert Thompson. Information report of Schaeffer Cox Intel. Title of incident, Intelligence report on Schaeffer Cox. Note, interview with Steve Floyd was accidentally deleted. Floyd agreed to be re-interviewed if needed. Persons involved, Officer Sherman, case officer, Schaeffer Cox, subject of interest, Aaron Bennett, person making statements to Steve Floyd. Who's Steve Floyd? Okay, I don't know who Steve Floyd is. Steve Floyd, person passing information. Michael Dukes, person providing information to Chris Mannino. Chris Mannino, person initially providing the information. It sounds like we're playing telephone here and everybody's passing it on to somebody else, somebody's passing it on to somebody else. Information in contact with Chris Mannino. While off duty on February 11th, 2011, let me pause here. If you read that MIAC report and you read that domestic extremist lexicon, it's just replete with, if you see something, say something. Make sure you call your local law enforcement officials if you come across anything suspicious. So I suspect that's what we're going to read here. While off duty, we're making a whole nation of narcs and snitches. Narcs and snitches. While off duty on February the 11th, 2011, and involved in a conversation with Chris Mannino, I was advised that he had been provided with information indicating that Schaeffer Cox was in possession of hand grenades and had intentions of some sort of actions to be taken on February the 14th of 2011. Did they find any live hand grenades in Schaeffer Cox's possession? No. Goes on to say, additionally, Mannino's the guy who got convicted of murder for hire. tried to get his friend to murder a witness. Oh my goodness. Additionally, Mannino stated that he had placed phone calls to associates of his in Anchorage that he stated confirmed 8 hand grenades had gone missing on Fort Richardson, Alaska sometime in the fall. I cannot independently verify any of the details provided by Mannino in regards to the hand grenades at this time. Mannino stated that the information was provided to him by Michael Dukes. I wonder if Michael Dukes has seen any chupacabras lately. I've known chupacabras to be hanging out in the garden. Contact with Michael Dukes. Following my contact with Mannino, I contacted Michael Dukes at the NNB Studios located at 819 First Avenue, Suite A. Dukes stated that on February the 7th, 2011, he had been contacted by Steve Floyd with information in regards to statements made by Aaron Bennett. Dukes was not able to provide me any additional details in regards to the comments of Bennett, but did provide contact information for Steve Floyd via text message on February the 12th, 2011. Well. The law enforcement official is following the path of these grenades that we don't even know if exist. Telephone contact with Steve Floyd on February the 12th of 2011. Steve Floyd returned my phone call and agreed to have the conversation recorded. Wow. Floyd stated that during a break in airtime in his show on February the 7th, 2011, his guest, Aaron Bennett, had made comments to Floyd that he found alarming. Floyd stated that he has both a business relationship and a friendly association with Bennett. And under those auspices, Bennett advised Floyd to avoid the courthouse on Monday, February the 14th of 2011. Floyd stated that Bennett continued on to explain that during a prior weekend, he, Bennett, had been in Anchorage at a militia meeting that involved Schaeffer Cox, Norm Olson, and many others, including the proprietor of an Army-Navy surplus store in Anchorage that Floyd indicated provided equipment and support to the militia groups in and around Anchorage. Floyd stated that he did not know which store was owned, but that if provided names, he would be able to identify the other individual stated to have been there. Floyd did not know any of the other involved parties. Floyd stated Bennett indicated that Cox had been making statements to indicate he had purchased hand grenades during the trip. Floyd stated Bennett indicated Cox was at the meeting in an attempt to stir up support for a militia uprising on February the 14th, 2011. Floyd stated that he was concerned by Bennett's tone and the seriousness of the warning to avoid the courthouse. Floyd did not have any additional information on what Cox might be planning or on the number of grenades stated to be in the possession of Mr. Cox. Let's go to the top here again. Note, interview with Steve Floyd was accidentally deleted. Floyd agreed to be re-interviewed if needed. Well, they lost the interview with Steve Floyd. How about that? The Alaska's finest lost the interview. Floyd continued on to state that in the early days of the formation of the Second Amendment Task Force, he had been involved with Cox and several others during initial planning meetings. Floyd stated that he wished it to be known that during these meetings his presence was to help in planning for civil assistance methods should there be an interruption in government services or supplies to the interior of Alaska, such as those occurred in Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina. Floyd continued on to state that at that time he became disillusioned with Cox due to Cox's dictatorial statements. Though not directly related to this case, he requested this to be known due to full disclosure of his relationship with Cox. Additionally, Floyd did not wish to burn his source due to Bennett being a client of Floyd. When asked, Floyd did state that if Cox did take any action that resulted in injury to anyone, he would be willing to come in and complete statements and go on the record for purpose of prosecution of Cox. Due to the sensitive nature of the relationship between Floyd and Bennett and prior personal dealings with Bennett, I did not feel it appropriate for me to contact Bennett for additional information at this time. Information. Due to an error on my part, the recording of this telephone contact was deleted from my recorder, so there is no audio recording of this contact. On February the 12th, 2011, I contacted Sergeant Roberts of the Alaska State Troopers DIA Detachment and provided all of the limited details that I had available. My conclusion is due to the nature of the information being entirely hearsay and speculative in nature. I do not see any possible criminal prosecution at this time. End of report. Woo! My goodness! We got a lot of gossiping going on in Alaska Fairbanks. We got the reporting officer and the supervisory employee, and we got Chris Mannino starting rumors, and Chris Mannino talked to Michael Dukes, and Michael Dukes talked to Steve Floyd, and Steve Floyd talked to Aaron Bennett, and Aaron Bennett got Schaeffer Cox in trouble. And somebody talked to the police officer. Wow. And who's the guy who originally did all this stuff? Chris Mannino, the person initially providing the information. My goodness. And Chris Mannino was convicted to murder somebody. Wow. By Joseph W. Bottini, no less. Joseph W. Botini, the same person who went after Ted Stevens, the same person who went after Vic Koring, the same person who went after Pete Cott, the same person who went after that guy in License to Lie, exposing corruption in the Department of Justice. The same guy who went after Senator Joe Miller. Wow, we got a small little group of reprobates in Alaska, and poor old Schaeffer Cox drew short straw, and he's stuck in prison for 26 years while all these evil bastards are running around free. And Chris Mannino, he's not even in prison. I looked up his BOP.gov website. It says he's not in custody, even though he was going to be sentenced in March of this year. There's something terribly, terribly wrong, man. There's something terribly wrong, man. Chris Mannino calls the police and reports 8 grenades, and they have to call this Steve Floyd guy and Aaron Bennett, and just insanity after insanity. Anyway, I'm just putting this up on YouTube so it's recorded. I don't know what exactly to make of it, but it's just very suspicious. Something very suspicious is going on.